All right, now I want to share 5 little mind tricks that I've learned over the years, these little ways that you can use the power of your mind to quickly go from fear to confidence, so that you can go from surviving to thriving, so that you can move through finals feeling confident and secure and resourceful. So the first step is like a 3-step process. Step 1 is you take a power breath. A power breath is when you breathe in through your nose, down to the bottom of your lungs, and then slowly exhale. So I want everybody to do that. I want you to breathe in through your nose. Breathe down to your belly like there's a balloon in your belly, and when you breathe in, your stomach's kind of going out. And then slowly exhale. You can exhale through your mouth or nose, but slowly breathe out like you're letting the air out of a balloon. Do that 5 times in a row. Breathe in through your nose, down to your belly, slowly exhale. Now, my specialty is helping people with trauma, anxiety, and panic attacks. I can get rid of them in 30 minutes or less, and for people that have been having it their whole life. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years is when people start to feel stressed, scared, anxious, angry, when they start to feel like they're going to lose control, they start breathing through their mouth, and they either hold their breath or they breathe very short and shallow, and it causes them to fire off their fight or flight response. And so then we have all these symptoms that come up. We get really scared, or we get really angry, or however it shows up for you. When you breathe in through your nose, down to your belly, and you slowly exhale, and you do that 5 times in a row, it activates your relaxation response. Your brain's built-in ability to feel calm, peaceful, and at ease. It slows you back down. It allows you to have more resources and to think more clearly on the outcome that you want. So it takes less than a minute, just by breathing in through your nose, down to your belly, slowly exhaling. Doing that 5 times in a row, it'll start to slow you down a little bit. Another quick way of feeling more peaceful in the moment is to look up. I want you to stare up at the ceiling and try to get stressed about something. Just look up and try to get stressed. It's harder to do, isn't it? I mean, you're looking up and you're like, I can't quite get there. Now, maybe some of you can. You're like, well, I can do it. Well, that's because you practice all the time. Okay? I used to practice being anxious all the time. I didn't know I was creating my anxiety. I thought it was happening to me. I had to discover that I was scaring myself in my mind, and I had to use my mind in a new way, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. Because it took me decades to learn that. It'd be great if you knew it now. So when you look up, it quiets the voice in your mind. You don't have to meditate for 20 years. You just look up. How about that? When you look up, it quiets the voice in your mind. When you look up and you power breathe, it's like a mindset reset. Within less than a minute, you will feel like you're slowing down a little bit because you're breathing and you're looking up, and it quiets your mind. That creates possibility. Instead of reacting, you can choose how to respond. Instead of feeling like every situation is an emergency, you can look at it with urgency. Instead of your energy being like a floodlight, you can be more like a laser beam. Concentrated light that can burn right through steel. You can move right through your obstacles. So you power breathe, you look up, and then you ask a power question. And that's the 3 steps. Now, a power question is what I shared with you a little while ago. It's focusing on what you want, right? So a power question could be what's my outcome here? What do I want to have happen? Where's the creative opportunity in this stressful situation, right? So if you have a flat tire, well, that sucks. But, get a new tire, and then maybe instead of, you have those new tires and now you're safe in a snowstorm, as opposed to having a flat tire while you're flying down the road. So you start to look for the opportunities in any situation. You can't get the rainbow without the rain, right? So you can look at any situation and think, where's the opportunity here? How do I want to feel? What's one way I could feel that way that would leave me feeling proud of myself afterwards? Who can I lean on for support? What resources do I have? So when you start to focus on what you want and how you want things to go, I've helped many people over the years get rid of their test anxiety. I've had nurses and lawyers who could not pass their final exams to get their licenses. and they were like, had one more chance. And so they were desperate, and so they went to see a hypnotist to see if they could get rid of their test anxiety. And the ones that came to me, I have a 100% success rate. Every single person that ever came to me for test anxiety passed the exam on their very next try. Now, it's not because I did anything. It's because what I helped them do was get rid of the fear. They already had all the knowledge, all the talent, all the training, all the skills, but they would get so worked up because they kept imagining they'd breathe through their mouth, they'd focus on what they didn't want, they'd look at the ground, get themselves all stressed out, asking themselves, what if I don't pass this? What if I flunk this class? Right? They're asking all these lousy questions and then filling themselves with adrenaline so that the idea of even trying to study would freak them out so much they procrastinate. Do you see how the patterns all work together? And so I would just shift them out of that, show them how to activate their relaxation, have them imagine what they want to have happen. And the hypnosis just makes you more relaxed and makes you a little bit more open to suggestions so that your mind grabs onto the ideas faster, so it feels like you get results quicker. That's all hypnosis is. It's not like the stuff you see in movies or in stage shows where I'm going to go sleep and then you cluck like a chicken. That's not what it really is. Even if it's made to look like that, that's not really what's happening. What's happening is you're just using your unconscious mind, or what you might call your subconscious mind, the part of you that controls your behaviors and mostly how you feel. And so you can use that part of your mind to be able to have new results and to have them happen faster, right? So for you, if you want to feel more confident as you're going through your finals or as you're going through the next semester or whatever it is that's coming up for you, if you feel nervous or stressed, use your power breathing, look up, and then start asking yourself some power questions. What would I like to have happen? What do I want to have happen as I go through this? And then for the test, imagine when you're studying, you're having fun. Before you study, you close your eyes, you imagine opening this door to your mind. Say, now whatever I study, it's going to go right in there. And then after you study, you close that door back up and you tell yourself that when I sit down to take that test, that door is going to fly open and I'm going to have access to everything that I learned. It's just going to be right there. And those answers are going to come flying out of me, and I'm always going to trust my first instinct. I'm always going to trust my first instinct. I'm always going to trust myself and my gut instincts. And then you imagine it going well and getting your test back and you got a great grade and you're feeling proud of yourself. You're associating all that pleasure to what you want so that when you study, you feel good about it. And because you're studying, you get that good grade. And then it happens and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like magic. Well, it's not really magic, but it can feel like it because you're tapping into the magic that's already inside of you. So those are some tips that I have noticed over the years that will help you to feel more calm, to help you feel more confident, and to help you achieve your goals easier.
Tim, about having worked at all with people who have had any dental fear or phobia or anything like that?
Yeah, I have great video testimonials of, there was one woman who came in and she was horrified of the dentist because when she was little, she was probably in her 60s, and when she was little, dentists would literally tie her to the chair, and then start to do dental work on her, which was very painful, and it horrified her, and she would have this terrible sense of claustrophobia. And so when she thought about going to the dentist, she had to have root canals and bridge work and all kinds of stuff. And when she thought about going, she had this full-blown, panic attack. And the medicine wasn't working. They were trying to give her, I forget what it's called. Xanax, I think. They were trying to give her Xanax, and that wasn't really doing it. And so she came to me because her teeth, she couldn't even eat. And so we did our hypnosis sessions. And what I've learned, and this is the most exciting thing for me, is that we all go through what I call big T and little t traumas, right? Little t traumas are being embarrassed, not getting picked for the team, someone hurt your feelings. Big T traumas are more of the serious, heavy stuff that people can go through with types of abuse, right? But it's not the experiences that affect us as much as the beliefs that come from those experiences, what our unconscious mind thinks that those experiences mean, what it means about me, what it means about you, what it means about those around us and the world we live in. And many people have this deep fear that for some reason, I'm not good enough. And because I'm not enough, I won't be loved. So we have fears of rejection and abandonment and all kinds of fears that come up that cause all kinds of problems, bad habits, and stress. Any bad habit or challenge that you have that's interfering with your happiness can be traced back to one of those unconscious beliefs in your mind. So for her, she had that fear that I'm not safe at the dentist, right? And so we changed that and empowered her and gave her a new belief that I am now confident and in control. And then showed her how to activate that relaxation, how to put herself into a state of relaxation, what you might call self-hypnosis. In fact, she even listened to a little audio program that I created for her called Pleasant Dentistry. And it was amazing because she came back a couple weeks later after her procedures and she was just like almost crying. She was so full of joy. She said, "You can't even believe what happened." She said, "I was going through there and I started listening to my program and the dentist would ask me stuff and I would answer back because I could hear him, but I was so peaceful and I was thinking about the stuff we were talking about and I just felt so relaxed and I could feel him working on me, but I didn't feel any pain. I just felt pressure and touch and I just felt so relaxed and peaceful inside. And there was even a time where something was stuck inside and they were using this little mallet and hammer to try to break it free and I could feel them. But I didn't even care. And in fact, I was so amazed that I started laughing in the middle of the session." And she said the whole staff was shocked. They didn't understand what was going on. And I said, I went and got hypnotized. And that person that dental office sent me so many patients for fear of anxiety, to stop smoking, to stop dipping, grinding, TMJD. I mean, so many challenges around dentistry. And so I have lots of stories like that. There's a whole field of hypnodontics where they're using hypnosis and dentistry for natural pain reduction. If some people can't use nitrous or they're not able to use some of the other chemicals for numbing, what do? Right? And so they've used hypnosis for many years. The government would teach soldiers how to use hypnosis if they ran out of morphine. Hundreds of years ago, it was chemical anesthesia and hypnotherapists, and hypnotists. They didn't call it hypnosis hundreds of years ago. They called it mesmerism, from a French guy named Franz Anton Mesmer, where you would be mesmerized. Right? That's my podcast is called Mesmerizing Podcast, or How to Be Mesmerizing, right? And so anyway, that they would use the chemical anesthesia, and the lobbyists who used the chemicals had way more money than the hypnotists, and it was a little bit more reliable because a lot of times the chemical anesthesia will work on more people than the hypnosis will, unless you're a very good hypnotist, which most people that are using hypnosis in the dental office haven't had a lot of experience. They might have just had a class. And so, but a lot of dentists use it, or they just use a version of it, which with the relaxation, with soothing suggestions. They don't remember when I said choose your words carefully. So you want to use words like pain. You're not going to feel any pain. Well, now all you can think about is pain, right? This isn't going to hurt that much. Oh my God, now I'm thinking about how much it's going to hurt, right? So instead we talk about pressure and touch. You'll feel me working around in there, but you're going to feel good. You're going to have a fast recovery. Your body's already healing. Your alignment is going to feel very comfortable very quickly. You're going to get used to this really fast. And just a lot of soothing. My wife recently in the last month has had to have 2 root canals. I don't know what's going on with her. And so it depends on who she's working with. There's a couple people in there, and one of the dentists is very impatient, talking to staff while they're in her mouth. And she's a great dentist, but her bedside manner sucks. So it doesn't matter if you're just really skilled. You also got to be kind and compassionate and collaborative with the patients that you serve. They don't serve you, you serve them. But it helps with anxiety, it helps reduce pain. You don't need as much anesthesia or nitrous or the other chemicals because you're activating the chemicals that are in your body, the endorphins and enkephalins and your body's natural serotonin and dopamine that will help you to feel a sense of ease and help you experience a more of a calm twilight state instead of just using twilight drugs. And there's no side effects except positive side effects when you're using the power of your own mind. So the hardest part is getting somebody to say, I'm ready. Everything else for me is easy because I've done it for so long, and it's easier for my clients too when you know the right way to do it. So I want you to imagine that you have this safe and you only know 2 of the numbers and you need 3 of the numbers to have the combination. If you only have 2 of the numbers, you keep yanking on that safe door, it will never open and you can't ever access the treasure. But if you know the 3rd number, that door swings right open and you can grab the treasure right there. And that's kind of how our mind works. We just don't have all the combinations, and so we try to quit. So for example, with a bad habit, we try to quit with cold turkey. If you're trying to quit smoking or dipping, you try to quit by cold turkey, or you take gums or pills or patches, or Nicorette, things like that. But pills, patches, and gums, they don't change bad habits. They don't change emotional habits. These are more emotional habits than they are physical addictions. People just say that they're strong physical addictions because it makes it feel harder to quit, which sells more product and keeps people on product. And so, but it's more of an emotional habit. The second part of it is our brain is always trying to avoid pain and create pleasure. So if we associate lots of pleasure to the tobacco or the sugar or the alcohol or the opioid, if we associate lots of pleasure to that and pain to not having it, because we don't know how else to deal with stress, or we don't know how else to have energy, or we don't know how else to try to forget about and distract ourselves from the pressures we're going through. If we try to take the thing away that makes us feel comfortable, it creates more pain. So we have pain associated to quitting and pleasure associated to going back to it, which is why it's so hard for people to break bad habits. So I always tell people that your bad habit might feel like a life preserver that you're holding on to when you're floating in the middle of the ocean. And I want you to have the life preserver. It's just that I'm going to show up in a boat. And the boat is better than the life preserver. And so I'm going to show up with a boat, and we're going to have a better way to help you feel the way you want to feel that doesn't have all the negative consequences. Instead, a whole bunch of positive consequences. So what we do is we start to break the old habit by associating pleasure to the new way of being. So whenever you're breaking an old habit, that's either you're getting someone to stop smoking or stop dipping, and then you're going to or stop overeating or stop eating the junk foods, whatever it is. And then the second goal is to develop the new habit. What are you going to do instead? What are you moving towards? And so that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're moving towards a new outcome. We're not just pulling weeds, we're also planting flowers. So when people break the smoking habit or the dipping habit, they start using the relaxation techniques. They start listening to the hypnosis programs I give them. They're drinking more water. They're getting better sleep. They're eating healthier foods. They're being more supportive in their mind. And all of a sudden, they're not smoking anymore. They're not dipping anymore. The bruxism and the grinding is a safety issue. So many people grind because inherently we don't feel safe. We call it stress and pressure and worries and all that stuff, but it's really, I don't feel safe. And at night, our body has to figure out how to deal with that nervous energy. So we grind, we pick, we pull, we bite, we chew, we try to figure out how to get rid of that nervous energy. And so when I'm helping somebody with bruxism, then what we're doing is, one, we're going and upgrading those unconscious beliefs so that we go from I'm not safe to I am safe. And then we provide a new set of tools and resources that help people feel a sense of ease while they're sleeping at night. And then the grinding stops. Instead of people spending years going through mouth guards, we just actually treat the root of the issue. And that's worked incredibly well.
I was curious if you would say addiction and anxiety and depression are diseases of just like reinforcement, or if they are kind of inherent and you just have to navigate the disease.
So there is some genetics that can be involved, but I would say that it's a disease of unconscious beliefs. That's how I would describe it. The biggest dis-ease in the planet is that fear that I'm not enough, And because I'm not enough, I won't be loved. And that is our biggest fear. And so if we go through life feeling like we are not enough, how do you cope with that? And people develop all kinds of defense mechanisms for dealing with that. So we've talked about going to alcohol and going to food and gambling. And I mean, there's all kinds of ways that people can try to distract themselves from those inherently horrible feelings, because we just can't go through life feeling that way all the time. And if we do, then we can experience depression, which is a feeling and a belief that you are helpless and you are hopeless, that you're going to feel like crap and there's nothing you can do and it's probably never going to go away. And so we feel completely depressed, we lose our energy, we can't even get out of bed. And so I think that it is a chronic problem with our unconscious beliefs, and the field of psychology isn't doing a very good job of addressing that. We're using talk therapy and pop psychology, and take a yoga class. That's not going to upgrade your unconscious beliefs. It's good for you, but it's not going to change those core foundational beliefs that we have about ourselves. And the challenging thing about it is these beliefs are unconscious, which means that a lot of times we don't even know that they're there. And so people can go to therapy for 20 years and not really get that much better, or get out of rehab and go right back. Now, if you have alcoholism and you put alcohol in your body, your brain is going to cause you to want more. But if you use your mind in this new way, you get high on the hypnosis instead of everything else, then you will keep the alcohol from going into your body. And that's where you have your power and your control. So that's what I'm trying to disrupt the old psychological model of just talking about our problems and trying to be a positive thinker, because that's not shifting behavior and it's not creating lasting change. Do you have thoughts on that or other questions that came from that answer?
Well, a little bit. So you said,
Good.
Well, you just said that having positive thoughts isn't quite the same as, I'm kind of curious how that's different from the hypnosis you're talking about.
Yes. So positive thinking, rational emotive therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, it's the idea of we're gonna kind of use empowering questions, power questions. We're going to focus on what we want and what we can move towards, and that is wonderful. But if you're not addressing the root of a problem, it's like you want to get rid of weeds. And the way to get rid of weeds, what most people do is they try to cut the top off a weed, or they just pull them out. And what happens? The weed grows back. Because one, you didn't get to the root, you just cut the top of it off, so you didn't get to the root. And then the second way, I have a friend who's a really well-known horticulturist, and she said another way to get rid of weeds is you just plant a different type of seed next to the weed. So you put the grass seed there, and what happens is the grass seed starts to grow, and it changes the soil. It changes the foundation. And then all of a sudden the grass seed is what grows, or the flower is what grows, not the weed, because you change the soil. In a very simplistic way of saying this, instead of just trying to be more optimistic or trying to be a problem solver, which are both great, we need that. That's what we do consciously. But our conscious mind only controls about 20% of what we do and how we think. All our habits, all our beliefs, all our values, all our morals are stored in our unconscious mind. I mean, you don't have to think when you stand up out of that seat and start moving. Your body knows how to do all that. It's automated by your unconscious mind. Well, your beliefs are also automated in that part of you. And so what we need to do is upgrade those beliefs, which if we keep upgrading your beliefs about yourself, it changes the soil in your mind, and it allows more of those supportive, encouraging thoughts to emerge, so that you are always looking for ways to solve problems, always looking for ways to find solutions, and always feeling like you're going to be okay no matter what shows up, because you have a foundation of security, a foundation of self-love and acceptance, and you feel more resourceful and resilient. It doesn't matter what shows up. What matters is how you show up. And so that's the difference in my experience because I was trained as a psychotherapist. I went and got my degrees in psychology. I had like 33 classes in psychology alone, going through colleges, the 3 colleges that I went to, the 2 colleges and the 2 grad schools. And I just found that endlessly talking about our problems and Just trying to use classic behavior modification was very slow and very painful and did not produce very consistent results. Although people have gotten a lot of wonderful results from going through those experiences, I'm just saying that when you address the unconscious beliefs, the root system at the bottom of it all, that's where you're going to get the most effective and lasting change. Woo!